Say to yourself, I am more than my physical body. Because I am more than physical matter, I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world. I deeply desire to expand, to experience, to know, to understand, to control, to use such greater energies and energy systems as may be beneficial and constructive to me and to those who follow me. I deeply desire the help and cooperation, the assistance, the understanding of those individuals whose wisdom, development, and experience are equal to or greater than my own. I ask their guidance and protection from any influence or any source that might provide me with less than my stated desires.
Do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. Do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I am the void one.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
Oh, broadcasting live from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. I can't believe it's Thursday already, actually. It seems like I was just asleep the other day and was saying that, hey, it's the beginning of the week. Like, time is getting weird. I feel like I'm slipping in and out of time dimensions. Thank you guys for joining us. If you want to call in, you can at 501-777-5631 at any point during the show. If I miss your call, I'll play your voicemail, but I'll try not to miss them. It's good to see a Tiger Lily in here. What's up, Tiger Lily? My Cherie, Howard, Domek, Sir Wolf, Jane. Did I miss anybody? Any lurkers? All right. So I wanted to continue with this Explorers Project discussions and what is consciousness, I guess you could say channeling. I'm not against it. I don't think that it's like not real or that it is real. Like I said yesterday, channeling is one of those things that I'm kind of on the fence about. I do listen to some of that Bashar stuff, that you guys are talking about. And it is damn convincing, man. I'll tell you why. Because I think that a lot of the stuff that we channel is immediate intuition. So if you have ever listened to Mary Ducina on the broadcast, I don't know how many psychics or readings or whatever you guys have gotten done, but the way Mary does it is almost as soon as somebody asks her a question, she's just coming out with the answers. But what we do usually, right, when someone asks us a question or we try to tap into something, is we have a first instinct, a first impulse to say something. And then after that, we just start thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't say that, or is that right? And the minute we start doubting it, it starts cutting off that stream of consciousness, I think. So I think that's part of it, right? Like when we start to open ourselves up to channel, we like let go of all those doubts and stuff. But some of the stuff is weird. Like the one we played the other night, it's taken this lady months to get in tune with this entity that was trying to get in touch with her, you know. So Joe, my Cherie says, Joe, were you up all night contemplating? Yeah. And then I woke up at 2:00 in the morning with a spider on my face, like a massive, it was the freakiest thing because I fell asleep with my tablet next to my face and there was a spider on my face. It was a big black spider. It wasn't a black widow, but it was like black. And that's a freaky thing. I'm not scared of spiders, but when you wake up and there's just one like on your face, yeah. Gotta love being in the shack, you know. All right. We should just be able to jump right into this. Other than me asking, you know, or talking about, you know, the station still needs your support. I want to thank Barb. Barb threw in some support. Domek, Claude Vigilante at Fringe.fm. It was a spider. Yeah, it was. It was a spider. We got to get the station turned back on. So if you can help out, please do so. But I got some plans for that too. Like I said, we're going to have a meeting about that stuff. Oh yeah. You know what I thought about too when I knocked that thing off my face is like, it was a stupid thought, but it's like, am I being psychically attacked? Who's sending spiders to me in the middle of the night? Because that's something that you freak out about. I realize I'm out in the middle of the woods and it's dark here and I'm the only light in like a 2 or 3 mile, at least a 2 or 3 mile radius. There's no lights out here. So there's just a little window light that's coming through and the air conditioner. What's up, Sudi? All right. So we have this kind of like weird sounding German guy at the Monroe Institute. He sounds like a comic book character discussing what channeling and entities and energy streams are. And I don't know exactly where we left off. So there might be some run over tonight, wherever we left off at. But, you know, I'd like to get to the end of his discussion because it was interesting. So let's pick that up because time is always ticking, right? You can call in too anytime. 501-777-5631. Here we go.
The energy begin to move at all. Do you have some suggestions for those situations?
Well, what it needs is encouragement again and again. Like when an explorer is in the booth and he is not experiencing a thing, then you should try to make him experience and not just let him lay there in silence, you see. Because when he lays there, he starts to wonder, do I experience something? Am I an explorer? Maybe these people out there get bored, nothing is happening, the tones still seem to be the same. Maybe I should never have gone into the booth. You know, all these thoughts come across his mind.
We've heard all those, yes.
Now, it is important that you stop the explorer from getting close to those concepts by as expected, you see. And indeed, whatever he will realize and learn from each session will be something that takes him away from its usual track of reality, you see. It does not matter what path an explorer takes. As long as he leaves his normal track of reality, it's fine, because then he opens up towards new ideas. It's only when he gets stuck in his old ideas that he has a hard time to explore, you see. Therefore, it is important when an explorer says, I feel like this, that you focus on it and encourage him to see more, to explore more in that respect, you see, and as you indeed do and try to do.
Mm-hmm. So that even if the explorer is focusing on body sensations, this is still...
this is all right.
Okay to encourage.
Right. If an explorer says, I don't feel a thing, it's silent here, you just say, great, explore the silence, it's great, this is what you should expect, you know. And he becomes confident and listens into the silence and then might indeed hear something that is beyond silence.
Okay, so...
Whatever is experienced should be...
We heard this part, right? You guys remember that? I need to fast forward just a little bit. That was on the show. I know we had there's 20 minutes of discussion left. All right, here we go.
Guides and so on. Is this a pattern that we might want to disrupt?
Well, what you could do is tell these explorers that their source of guidance is fine for the time being, but that they should always be open for other sources, and indeed that they are surrounded by an indefinite number of other sources of information,
Sure.
as indeed is the case with Harold. You see, Harold 2 and Harold 3 are levels of consciousness of, as you might say, a very high quality, and indeed, it might be worthwhile to focus on these levels of being, of existence, and yet at the very same time there are many other sources of information that might be just as interesting.
Do you think at all in terms of levels of sources of information, or levels of entities, hierarchies of entities?
Well, there are definitely levels and clusters of information and entity, but there is no hierarchy as such. You see, you could not say really that the information of source 1 is of a higher quality as the information of source 4, whatever the source might be called. But you could say that there will be a distinct difference of information. Now, there could be information that is respective in time and space terms, and therefore very true and understandable by human beings. And therefore you might say it's a great source. Now, there might be information of source 4, which is way from the beyond of space and time, and therefore might make very little sense, and indeed might be very hard to be proved. And therefore you might say there is not really a lot of sense in that kind of information. It doesn't make sense in our terms, so let's ignore it. On the other person says, no, because it is from beyond space and time, it's of much higher quality and we should listen to it, in spite of the fact that it doesn't make sense, you see. It all depends on how the way you look at it. Aspective energies are just as important as non-aspective energies. They are different expression of the uncreated force, but there is no hierarchy involved as such, you see.
Yes, I think I see that.
Well, that kind of goes against the angels and demons things, right? Like, if he's saying there's not really so if you contact a higher entity or a higher source, what we consider to be like a higher source of information, it doesn't mean the quality of the information is supposed to get better. It's really interesting to like compare the esoteric versus like the out-of-body explorers and everything that they both go through.
Some of the entity paths that you have described, though, those that have been free to move from a PowerPoint to PowerPoint, for example, would seem to us to have a broader perspective, so to
They do.
say, and in that sense, that sounds to us like higher, and you're saying not so.
Not so, just different. You see, it's like if somebody goes into a movie theater and enjoys a movie and gets stuck with it. Now, those people who can jump from cross-point to cross-point of energy, from PowerPoint to PowerPoint of energy, those are entities who move from one movie theater into another one. They watch the movie, but they never forget that it is a movie, and they are free of the movie itself, you see. Whereas some entities watch a movie, get stuck with the movie, and actually get part of the movie and forget that they have got the freedom to get out of the movie at any given time. Now, you couldn't say that those people do experience reality in a somewhat lower or inferior way. You see, they just experience reality in a different way. The perspective of reality is very different. But then again, perspective cannot be judged or valued, you see.
Do you guys think this is the kind of guy that could start a cult? Like this guy could start a cult? He sounds kind of cultish. Like enough people could just sit around him in a circle, and then he could start like an Instagram page and a website, and then start putting out shorts, you know, with some AI stuff in the background. And then the next thing you know, he's speaking at events. Like, who is this guy? I did try to find out who this guy is at the Monroe Institute, and so far, no one knows. It's just I think, what was his name? Howard? Mr. Creepy Voice so far. We will research this more to try to find out, though.
They're just different.
Yes, I see. And is one of the differences among entities that some have felt, have experienced physical form and others have not?
Yes, indeed. You see, there are many levels of consciousness or information that somewhat never really melted into these PowerPoints of reality, layers of space and time, but that are somewhat floating around and experiencing from outside. They never really took on a complete perspective and experience of space and time as such, and others did.
What?
And this doesn't necessarily make one more valuable to us.
No, just different.
Another in terms of the information.
You see, as long as you feel that some sources might be more important than others, you block yourself towards certain energy streams. Only if you stop judging, you're completely open for any energy that might come to you, and only then you will become aware of the full picture, the full frame of what reality does mean.
Well, I just had a trippy thought.
If you think about a God consciousness is a conscious mind that is equally aware of all that is possible as an expression of the uncreated source of energy, you see.
So,
and only
one time I remember getting out of body and I left the radio on. This is one of those times I got out of body that I couldn't really see very well. And I kept trying to do that awareness now thing that William Buellman talks about, but it wasn't happening. And I could hear the voice on the radio like while I was out of body. Can you imagine getting out of body and hearing this guy talk, or being in a lucid dream with this guy talking in the background while you're just in some kind of weird dream? Maybe that's already happened to me because I was playing these after the show last night. I just had a weird deja vu moment about it.
If you have got this unlimited awareness of all that is possible, and there's no limit to what is possible, only then you start to enter a state of divine consciousness. Do you see?
Yes, that's such an appealing idea to us. One difficulty that we have faced in the laboratory from the beginning is the need to get our questions answered from a variety of sources to see the extent to which there's consensus or lack of consensus.
Indeed.
Now, this doesn't, from what you've described today, this doesn't make much sense to me to do this.
No. You see, the information might vary to a great deal, and yet, in its respective sense, all the sources might be quite correct. You see, if somebody says, when you leave your physical body, there will be a blue realm of consciousness, he might be right. Then another person says, quite wrong. If you leave your physical body and leave space and time behind, you enter a realm of crystals. That is true too. Depending on the direction of energy stream you get onto, you see. It's like you drive a car on a road and then 5 roads branch off. Depending on the road you take, the reality will appear to be very different, but they are all part of the same overall reality. Now, if you branch off on road 1 and you describe what you see, you give a certain picture of your reality, right? If you branch off into another road, the picture will be quite different. Now, most people branch off are not aware that they had a choice, you see, and this is where the difficulty comes in. Most people who do explore are not aware that, indeed, there are other roads that they could have taken. But they have ignored those roads and only described the single experience they picked, and saying that this is the whole picture, you see. But in fact, it's just an aspective picture. Do you follow?
Yes.
Have we verified that this is channeled information to begin with? Like, do we know that this is actually being channeled, or is this dude just talking to her? Because the discussion is about channeling. Better read than listen to, maybe. I don't know. Some of the stuff he was saying yesterday was pretty cool, but this is like kind of arbitrary, you know.
One thing we, of course, wish to do is to move beyond the aspect. We're not discounting the value of that, but to experience a moving beyond that to a more direct view of the uncreated energies, I guess.
Well, you shouldn't really. You see, when you explore the various roads of perspectiveness, you will get a very full and clear picture of what perspective dimensions do mean. And you should also, as you said, go into the beyond, into a realm where there is no such thing as perspectiveness, and get a clear picture of what that means. But indeed, only those experiences will give you the whole picture. Do you follow?
I see. Mm-hmm.
And indeed, this is one of the reasons that you came here in the first place. Because you did want to get a full picture, and therefore you did want to become part of the perspective's dimensions. Follow?
Yes, and
you tracking?
It's that we don't want to get too locked into them, I guess.
You cannot become locked in, dear friend.
Well, perhaps over-identified with particular aspect of forms is the...
As hard as you try to identify with certain aspective qualities, there will be a time when you get removed from those qualities. This is the time of change, or the time of death, you see.
Yeah.
There's
Hello,
meaning
Clarice.
in the other time of change. So there is not a chance that you might get stuck for any long period of time, to use your language.
Mm-hmm. I see. So that the aspects, by definition, would change at the ending of a physical form.
They do. Mm-hmm. They do.
Oops.
And you see, another aspect of this reality is that indeed you do live simultaneously in many ways in this dimension of space-time. And while we do talk here to each other, you indeed do live in many hundreds of other aspective lifetimes, and there is a connection between those lifetimes and this lifetime here. And your psyche indeed is not just focusing on this conversation that goes on. In fact, this is the smallest part of your psyche that is focusing. The bigger and larger part of your psyche is actually focusing on these other lifetimes. And indeed, many of those lifetimes are not aspective at all. Indeed, you are mastering the secret of aspective energy in those other lifetimes. You do express what you might call in this lifetime masterhood of being. But as you're not aware of it, you are able to perceive this limited aspective energy of this lifetime, which is needed and precious for you as an overall entity, you see.
What would a non-aspective lifetime, what does that mean?
A non-aspective lifetime does mean to you that you are free of attachment to aspective qualities of time and space. It does mean that you can enjoy the aspective qualities, but can freely mix and exchange those qualities in whatever way you choose, you see. It does mean that if you get fed up with the stream of time, you just jump in time backwards or forward, or stretch time or reduce time, or even exchange the particles of time in whatever way you like. Physically, this would mean that a master of time and space would be able to apparently go beyond the physical laws of this reality and indeed materialize and dematerialize, bring things into existence that have not been here before in this reality level. But what you actually do is you master the time, and you somewhat freely jump from one level of life, of physical life to another level. But
did he just claim that it's possible to manifest physical reality out of thin air, like pure raw butt magic? Like, is that what he's talking about? That's what it sounds like he just said, that we have that capability.
But it is not experienced as such by the observer, you see. Now, as we said, there are lifetimes of yourself where you are just doing that, you see. Mm-hmm. And you couldn't care less about the aspectivity of life, because this is something which is of no concern to you in those lives. But it very well is in this one.
Mm-hmm. So the lifetimes you're talking about there are where particular individuals have no concern for the aspects, but where others living in that same time and space may have.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. I see. And is there a state in which all the energies present are living non-aspective lives?
There is indeed, and this stage is happening now, you see, but not obvious to your perspective. See, where we are, there is also a level of physical reality where aspectiveness is not experienced as such, and yet it is going on at this moment in time. And that does mean, you see, if you open up your mind and your psyche, you can get in touch with this existence of non-aspectiveness and indeed become a part of it. And that, in turn, might help you to become less aspective in this life if you choose to
magic,
do so.
That's what I call it, yeah.
All right, we have another question from Alan.
Is there a distinction then between these streams of energy and an entity?
Well,
good question.
You see, when these streams of energies cluster together and form an entity, this entity is forming what you might call an identity, and it starts to act and express itself as an identity and as an entity, and therefore it will be in certain ways limited to its identity and form as an entity. It does mean that when an entity is formed, however big or however large the scale of awareness might be, it might be still limited, as the entity is somewhat different from the energies and separated from the energies around it, unless the entity is an entity of such an awareness that it does give up its borderline of its entity being, and somewhat is always in touch with the surrounding energy, and therefore you might not be able to call it an entity anymore, because it's just a sparkle of identity within an unlimited source of energy, and therefore might never appear as an entity, you see. Now, if the energy flow freely without forming an entity, you will find that one energy flow will never be the same. Like the energy that talked to you today will cease to exist after this session is over, because other energy streams get mixed into it, and therefore you will have a different energy stream tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, you see. An energy stream does only occur at one-time quality and ceases to exist in your terms. An entity, however, has got an identity that somewhat lives on for a long while. Do you follow?
Yes.
God, I wish you wouldn't say that.
Itself against other energy streams to keep.
That's what makes it sound culty. Even though I understand why you would say, do you understand or do you follow? A lot of times, if you pay attention to other conversations, not saying that everybody's out to trick everybody all the time, but most of the time, when people are trying to teach or they're trying to convince you of something, they'll say things like, are you tracking? You follow? And even if you don't, most people will automatically be like, uh-huh. And sometimes they're not following at all, you know? So be that person that has the courage to say, no, I don't understand whatsoever what you're talking about, or not really. Because I feel like she's kind of doing that. Maybe I could be wrong, though.
This identity. When you speak about a channel, channeling an information, be aware that the information that is channeled indeed could act as a channel again. You see? An entity could reside in an entity, could reside in an entity, could reside in an entity.
Oh, that's scary.
We thank you very much for this information. And
so is he going to end it with that? Like all that stuff he just taught us in 2 shows, and he's like, also, there could be entities inside of entities inside of entities. So the information that you're channeling might have, what is it, like one of those Russian dolls that just have all kinds of other information in it? I don't know what he's saying there. I have to listen to this like
we think
multiple times.
it's time to begin closing this session.
Now, this energy, as we said, only existed today and might not exist tomorrow anymore, but it might exist in different terms, however, mixed with other aspects and therefore giving other information.
It's been a very, very useful session for us, and we're very glad to have these new ideas.
You're welcome.
So creepy.
So there you have another session from our Explorer Files. This session presented us with a different perspective on the nature of the source of information than we have received in the many hundreds of hours of communicating with the non-physical energy in the laboratory. Like most of the Explorer material, it provides much to ponder. With channeling and other forms of contact and exploration with the non-physical realm becoming increasingly widespread, it does seem important to us at the Institute that people use such information not as a final word, but rather as a starting point for individual growth and exploration.
Hello.
Whoa. So again, at the end of all that, I'm not so sure, like, I'm convinced of the channeling thing, you know. Unless we already knew all this information, and when we come to life in this crazy state of amnesia, like most of us feel like we do, and then really as we grow and become more conscious, we just start remembering, and then we channel that information. But this whole like entity inside of entities thing is a bit of a trippy concept to me. Let's see. Let's see how they go about doing this. The laboratory procedures of these people might be some information we might want to learn. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's go to the chat. What do you think? Taking advantage of one on the fence to forcibly draw one in with a gravitas of highness. Yeah, he's got kind of like that elite kind of inner vibe about him, like this eliteness thing. Let's see. Definitely a way to subversively have one cosine, one's own spile, entities all the way down. Yeah. This entity is really fascinating, but basically feels like Turbo Hannibal Lecter. Yeah, it's just kind of a creepy voice, you know. I think that's the one thing, like if he didn't have that real creepy voice, he'd probably be a bit more trusting to most people. Let me see if I can get this thing about thought forms to play. Because thought forms are something that I really actually believe in. Like, I think that's real. Like, you could do that yourself. And if you've ever been out of body and you saw like shadows or anything like that, a lot of times you could be seeing, in my opinion, I think you could be seeing thought forms.
Hello, I'm Rita Warren, coordinator of the Explorer work taking place here at the Monroe Institute.
So this is something that I actually do believe in, but I want to get their take on it. It's not necessarily entities, but I think they can turn into like elementals, things like that.
Attended a gateway voyage and has mastered our techniques for the exploration of consciousness. Such individuals are tested in our laboratory and at our invitation come back for explorer sessions. Explorers in our laboratory are placed in a special soundproof booth that has been shielded from outside radiation with copper sheet metal. The airflow, temperature, and light levels in the booth are carefully regulated.
Well, that answers Anthony's question about the copper thing. First time. See, this is why we got to keep going back and listening to this stuff over and over again, or at least the books. I did not know that their booths at the Monroe Institute, or at least this original one back in the 70s and 80s, is copper. I'd like to hear why. You can find something on that.
The explorer is monitored during a session by microphone and electrodes attached to the body. And of course, spatial hemisync tones are transmitted to the booth. This excerpt comes from the 16th session of IMEC, recorded on September 11th, 1984. IMEC is one of our most prolific explorers, and Friend, the energy that speaks through her, always has a great deal of useful information to share with us. We'll now join the session in progress.
You are an energy. When an energy comes in contact with you, we are speaking now of another physical being. You too, at that point, are a energy field consisting of many energies and many thought forms. There is a consciousness residing in each energy field. When one energy then comes to another energy, and let us say, addresses you, let us say that one energy comes and says, "Good morning." This seems very insignificant. However, those words, upon entering your nervous system, your energy field, will react then on your nervous system. There is the most briefest time span that occurs as that word, as that sound enters your energy field. There are three possibilities for you receiving that information. One response would be no response. The next would be that if that energy entered your field and you did not consciously, when that energy enters your energy field, there is a moment of reaction. There is like a change, a chemical change that occurs, and there is an energy that is produced. That energy then, if your consciousness is aware, can take that energy and utilize it. There is a possibility. We will continue with the example. The person says, "Good morning." If the energy enters into the nervous system...
Good morning, Jen. How are you?
On what you say, an automatic basis, it will carry with it all that is projected from the other energy. Let us say For example, the energy is in a low state of being, existence. If you allow the energy to enter into your energy field, and without the conscious recognition that there is a energy process taking place, that manifestation of the occurrence, the energy, then if not consciously used by you, will enter your body, and will then, if there is no conscious response, it will begin to search on on a subconscious level. It will assimilate information given by projections to closely assimilate the projections given by the individual. So we would say that the individual is in a low state of consciousness. If there is no conscious response on your part, then your own subconscious energies will use we would say, new energy produced, and it would search throughout your energy banks and would assimilate such information, perhaps as, this person does not feel well, this person is in a low state of being. And then it would associate on a rapid succession subconsciously all other information dealing with this. As many associations as your energy field contained, projections that you had accumulated that tell you what is going on in other energy fields would quickly come up to the surface, and you would then perhaps draw a conclusion. You may respond then to the individual with, you do not look very well, you are low in spirits, and you do not look your normal self. The projections then have been added to. Then the individual would then pick up upon that which you said, adding new energy, and they would say this, perhaps they would say, this is true. I do not feel quite up to my usual standard. When the individual that received the first impression continues on their way, if they, by now in existence, is this energy field, this energy that was this correspondence or communication, the person may perhaps then, upon meeting another energy field, say, I met another energy field, and they are not feeling too well today.
You know, that's kind of true. Like, there was a part in the book, in Robert Monroe's second book, or second and third books, when he started really traveling like way out there. I can't confirm this. I haven't traveled that deep, but that he would just run into entities or thought forms or beings that were just there. Like, they had no emotion. They would respond to him kind of telepathically, like, yeah, I'm here. He couldn't see them, but they were just energy fields or forms. That's another trippy thought, too. It's like haints. You know how you have haints in your house? It's what we rednecks call, like, spooks and ghosts and haints, right? So there's, like, haints in the astral realm, too, that you can't even see.
This then becomes your communication to the energy field that you now have come in contact with. If their consciousness is not of a point where they can recognize this, they will add to or confirm, perhaps in a manner, yes, I saw that energy field, and they did look a little down. We give you this example to show how this grows. As this continues, perhaps later in a group meeting, and there we say, we saw the energy field and they are not well, then there is another confirmation from all of the other energy fields there. All of these projections and agreements become an energy field and will affect the being that first established that this process was started. There is an energy now operating that is in agreement with all of these negative aspects that you agreed on in your confirmations with each other. This energy will then find a place. It will find, as it were, a manifestation, for it has now created more energy, and as the energy increases, there will be confirmation for an exaggerated point. The original being perhaps may even end up in the hospital, and thereby everyone's confirmation will be proven in that, yes, we knew this individual was not well. The other choice that you have when you come in contact with the energy being on the first contact, when the energy says good morning to you, if your consciousness is alert, if your awareness is there, when you receive the impressions, the totalness of this being upon your nervous system, you will recognize then that this you have just received, and by the acceptance, an energy force. If you then have the choice of taking, or we would say that utilizing the energy that is manifested, the original, the same energy is there, the same potential energy is there that was used in the negative way. You can then recognize that you have just entered into the creation of whatever it is you wish to create, and we hope in this instance that it would be to create the health and beauty that you seek on the earth plane. When the energy then enters into your field and there is a contact, there is an energy, your consciousness then can take that energy and can look at the individual in a physical way and can see all of the positive things. They can say, your eyes look beautiful today, where perhaps in the other conversation they said, your eyes look weak. You can say to the individual, you are radiating with health. You can at that point use the energy that is being added to by your attention to project then upon that individual those qualities which you wish that individual to have. When you leave the individual, your positive projections will be carried with them rather than the confirmations of perhaps any negative vibrations that was with them. When you meet your friends later, you can say, I met the energy field today who is radiating with health and beauty. Then when you meet in your groups, you can confirm the fact that the individual is well and healthy, and everyone in the group, by seeing and acknowledging your creation of health and beauty will add to the manifestation of energies that are being created, that which you wish to create. Then the confirmation will come as later the individual's health and happiness has increased twofold. If you do not use the energy that is manifested on the first encounter, it will become part of the autonomic nervous system, and it will act on its own, and it can only act on its own according to what is in the energy field. If one has reached the state of perfection, then one perhaps would not have to watch the numerous amounts of encounters that they have during their even daily associations. You see, the powers that are given to the physical manifestations are powers that only exist because of the belief systems. So as one tries to discover in themselves why they have automatic responses, why they see sickness, unhappiness, or any of the negative things in individuals, they can use this as to the question of why that they see beautiful things in some and not beautiful things in the other beings that exist. And they must recognize that it is, they project out on the individuals that which, unless they are doing it in a conscious sense, is on an automatic basis based on previous knowledge, assumptions, that there are other people's projections about what they are witnessing. And many times they become confused, and they would say that I cannot deny that this person does not feel well. The person told me they did not feel well. And this is where the control comes for entities who wish to, as it were, alter or change the vibrations of others to influence. This is the moment of influence. If they use the energy, then at that point to create or to project health and beauty, and they do not agree. You see, it is the agreement. If they agree with the person who is projecting a certain attitude, feeling, then there is energy added to it. It becomes an agreement and it is added. So when you first begin this process, it may appear, and there are other energies in your own system that will tell you that you are not perceiving reality. And there is then the process of, as it were, you would say, to tell the truth, because one part of your reality, it tells you a certain thing, but when you confirm that, you add energies to it. So as it were, one must cease to recognize that which they do not wish to exist in their reality. Oh, yes, and if they wish this to cease, and
I don't know what it is about this voice, but I got completely zoned out. So my bad. We got to take a break. Like, I'm soaking all this in, but this is just like thought forms, egregores, energies, and vibrations. Like this, I can dig for sure. Not, it's a little bit different than channeling, but it's not too much different, I don't guess. But all I guess I'm saying is, like, this is a bit more real to me than the other one, even though the other one was pretty entertaining. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
So, love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
This is Janet, and I'm trying to donate for the toys on the kickstand site, and I'm having some problems. I'm having a little bit of a problem. No, I'm so sorry. 2 Adderall, Jan. One isn't going to do anything. 2, please. Yeah, chop that one up and give me the other one. Okay, so I'm on the website, and I'm trying to donate, and I'm a little flustered because I love this channel. I love the Paranoid Guy and Warren and the Donor Nut Guy. Like, this is wonderful. If you can, just kind of, I'm watching, so tell me how to do it. Tell me how to donate towards the toys. And I'm recently on the market. Well, he doesn't know that I'm looking for somebody. But so if you can, please just text me back. All 3 of you, if you like, it's America, right? 3 text with your social credit scores, your net worth, and a picture of that big old pickup truck that you have. I am so excited. Just could you please help me figure out this kickstand thing, and I will donate towards whatever you guys need, whatever you need. Thank you. Yeah, just maybe one more Adderall. Thank you.
Hey, I'm J.M. DeBoard, and when I want to talk about dreams, I look up my man Joe Root and his show, Lighting the Void.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Do you want to know the truth? Are UFOs real? Are aliens visiting Earth? Are governments around the world hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO Seekers, official partner of The Fringe FM, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Join us as we investigate locations like Area 51 by subscribing on YouTube at youtube.com/UFO Seekers.
Arg, matey. It is I, Apex Monsoon, and I am a cosmic ghost pretty cool. I think that's a good way to end this. Okay. All right, Apex Monsoon is out of here. I gotta go sail the 7 seas. All right, matey. Arrgh! Arrgh!
Thanks for listening to this broadcast. Need another late night fix? You can tune in every weeknight to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop on The Fringe FM.
Has gravity got you down? Do you not understand the difference between a wave or a particle? What about the planets? How do all those rotate around each other? Laws of physics and other sciences can be confusing. So the next time you're curious just how exactly E equals MC squared, hire a highly trained and qualified professional. That's right, it's Space Lawyers. Space lawyers are skilled in litigation with the laws of time, space, cosmic ghost pirates, and various other lawyerings. Each space lawyer has a PhD in space law from the Cosmic Hall of Space Justice, and they can get you out of just about any sticky situation. So stop bonking your head on things, or accidentally creating big bangs with your haphazard studies in quantum physics. Leave all of that to the highly trained professionals prepared to litigate these laws for you. Just call 1-800-SpaceLawyer.com for more info.
Space lawyer?
Space lawyers cannot be used in a regular court of law. They can only accept cash and no cosmic traveler checks nor Visa debit cards. Please wait up to 4 cosmic business days for our space lawyers to get back to you.
Have you ever wondered, what do the stars say for me? Or, will the next month or the next year be more favorable? How about, are our 2 signs compatible? Each month, at the new moon, you can ask these questions live with me, your astrologer psychic, Mary DeCina, along with host of Lighting the Void, Joe Root. Join us at the new moon for Cosmic Conditions. We look forward to working with your energy.
Every new moon at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on Fringe FM.
listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
To Lighting the Void Radio. Make sure if you haven't supported the Fringe FM, please do so. Doesn't matter how much it is. Send in your support. If you can't support, share, like, review, all that stuff. Got to give it a shout out. www.fringe.fm. A little bit of fun tonight we're getting into, but you know, sometimes, in my opinion, this stuff gets too serious. And then I get zoned out. Like, this lady is like hypnotizing me. Like, her voice, I don't know if it's like that speak and spell thing or whatever's going on, but it's
agreeing to. And your words then should be chosen very carefully so that it would not, as it were, offend the person. You see, many who have these concepts wish your agreement to it. And you must learn how to agree without agreeing. You must answer with positive answers. You must answer the individual with love and understanding, but you must not confirm or add to any what you yourself then decide is negative or that is positive or beautiful. But we wish to explain or to help you understand that the slightest encounter, the most insignificant encounter with any force has potentials, and it is, if you analyze it, if you stop and really understand the magnitudes of it, then you could see how the reality of the physical world has become such as it is. It takes some analyzing, it takes much thought for one to enter in and to become familiar with all of the teachings, all of the assumed truths that they are in truth because they have been agreed upon, and to recognize that you can cease the agreement anytime you wish.
That excerpted session with Friend is one of many that covers quite a wide range of subjects. We have a number of other individuals who are providing a great body of thought-provoking information as we continue our explorations. We hope you find them as interesting as we do.
Well, yeah, they're interesting, but like, that's it. That's what she ended on. It's like, you don't, all of everything I just said, well, I mean, you don't have to agree with that. Who was I talking to the other day about that? Something about they have thoughts. Shit, I don't remember who it was. It was something about they have thoughts and they're not sure if they come from themselves or other people. But I think Frederick Xavier goes into that where he says it's not that's not the more important thing is identifying with it, and do you accept it or do you reject it, right?
My name is Martin Warren. I act as a monitor for many of the Explorer sessions now taking place at the laboratory of the Monroe Institute of Applied Sciences.
Wait a minute. Does this not sound like Robert Monroe? Like he says, my name is Martin Lawrence, but that sounds like a fake name. It sounds like this sounds exactly like Robert Monroe.
Many who attend the Gateway Voyage program here at the Institute, or those who have listened to our published Explorer tapes, want to know how someone became an explorer, or how they can become an explorer.
Yeah, it was cosmic, yeah. That's right.
For most people, it requires more than a desire to explore. It often takes months and sometimes even years of practice before an individual can comfortably and consistently achieve the expanded states of consciousness that are necessary for fruitful explorer work in our lab. The following tape excerpts are the results of one person's dedication and commitment to her intent. They help to demonstrate the process of becoming one of our explorers. HRL first attended a gateway voyage here in Virginia in November of 1984. She was able to spend some extra time here after her gateway and asked for the opportunity to be the subject in a lab session. She showed promise, and we asked her to go home and practice. In her case, she used a close friend to help monitor her practice sessions at home. She was able to return for another lab session in late January of 1985. And a few minutes into the session, a new voice began to speak. As you're moving on through 19 and 20 and into 21.
Yes, we are now.
Oh, no, I'm not doing this again. Hell no. I know who that is, though. Like, no offense or anything. It's just that was creepy the first time. I think that's a double entendre, like a double file. They snuck in there twice. So there is another one here I was kind of interested in that was talking about love, fear, and Christ consciousness. Let me see if I can get it to play. I wonder if the servers are getting like packed because these are not as easy to play as they used to be. We'll see if it loads. Do we lose it? What's up, Starseed? He said, no, please, no. What's number 5?
This is Robert Monroe speaking. The following is made up of material taken directly from the voice tracks of Explorer sessions.
Number 5 is multi-dimensional aspects of the self. Yeah, let's do that one. See if I can get it to play. Have you guys been listening to these? That's cool. Yeah, I don't want to listen to that haunting voice either. I'm with you on that. Dude, this is like locked. This is locked down. All right. Let's see if we can get it going now. I thought there were hundreds of these like tapes and files, and then some of them have been getting removed from the internet for some reason. There used to be like 100, 150 of them on here, but now the more I search, there's only 32 at archive. Unless you guys have found some more, send me some links. Yeah, this one's not loading. Who said number 5?
This is Robert Monroe speaking. The following is made up of material taken directly from the voice tracks of Explorer sessions held here at our research facility. We offer them without our evaluation or comment, so that you can learn from them as we did, and form your own interpretation or analysis of what took place. The Explorer is lying in total darkness on a waterbed in our experimental isolation booth number 2.
Waterbed?
The booth itself is well shielded from RF radiation and is temperature controlled and also totally soundproof. The only signal our Explorer can receive is the audio pattern through a set of stereo headphones. We record out of the booth her oral responses and her body voltages.
Oh, you're the 5th. My bad. I don't know why I was thinking, oh, she wants to hear number 5. I've totally fouled this up. Well, it might be a synchronicity. Maybe that's what we need to listen to. God, this is so low.
Recording from our Explorer tape file. Again, we have taken from the one we code ROMC, so that you will have a more complete impression of the unusual experiences she has encountered. As we get into the session, she's
too low, man. I can't do it.
And beyond.
Of course, I built the balloon again, and then started doing some rhythmic breathing, which is like filling the balloon full of air, my own air.
All right, I'm going to try something. Hold on.
Really started feeling I was floating up and up and up, and then all of a sudden I saw real blue. This is blue as can be. Beautiful, beautiful blue. Like the whole sky, the whole surroundings. Like I'd just gone even up more than before. It's always sort of dark. But then I sort of saw a comical scene. Like I saw a cloud floating by. Here's my brother, who's always a ham in life, was sitting playing a harp on a cloud. Just
can y'all hear that better? All right, can y'all hear that better?
Just
okay.
Sort of goofing off. like that'd be the sort of thing he would do. But it's very light feeling, just like I floated way up into another atmosphere. It was very, very good up here, very light and blue, and feel lighthearted.
That's fine.
See, this is all I see. It's like a little saucer floating in, and I got a glass top bubble top, and I'm just supposed to get in this. Gonna get in this glass top little saucer, and gonna be taken for a fast ride. We'll get in and see what happens.
Very good.
Okay. Very, very rapidly in this. And right down the center of it is a light beam. It's like I'm going to be taking a ride on various colored light beams. Right now, it's like a white light beam coming down, energy beam. I don't know where it comes from or where it's going, but it's coming right down the center of this little saucer I'm sitting in with the bubble top. And I'm just sort of being lifted now up through that particular being. Just being lifted higher and higher. And I'm going to be lifted up, and it's like I'm traveling, spinning with that beam coming right through. Let's see what happens now to the source of it. It's just like now the whole thing is not just a beam, it's just getting up to where the source is. And it's being sort of flooded in with this white light. Now, I've sort of been slowly let down on this beam again, down to where it's just a beam. Now, I'm going to have a blue beam. I'm going to have it running through. Okay, I'm sort of spinning around, and then being lifted up through this beam. The beam's coming right down the middle, but I'm sort of being lifted up through this beam, and it's expanding until now. Again, I'm all washed in blue. Just very cool and refreshing. Up to it's all blue now. I'm spinning around in it. Now I'm going to be let down, back down the beam.
Yeah, waterbed would be like
and
really
like
good to do this.
I'm being moved over to another beam. I'm being moved way over. I'm going now to let's see, it's a yellow, sort of a yellow beam. And the yellow is also relaxing. And I'm being lifted up and through this beam, on this beam, and through the beam until I get up to the source of the beam, and it's all yellow light swirling around. Now, I feel like I'm being let down again. Now I'm being moved over. It's like being moved over on the spectrum, and there's a nice, real nice orange beam coming through. And now being lifted up through the orange beam. The orange is a nice, real good color. It's giving a lot of energy. A pulsating orange. Pulsating. Now the orange is turning to red. It's like a pulsating. Very energizing. And it's like orange and red, it's orange and red. Now there's like two beams together, so I'm let down.
Hold on a second. I got to stop this and ask you guys a question real quick.
Now, let's take over.
First off, the number one troublemaker in this chat room is Sudi. You guys know that, right? But troublemaking in a good way. So she started talking about a God helmet. So while I'm listening to this, I looked it up. Are you sure this isn't like a massive troll? Because all I can think about is like Back to the Future and when Doc was wearing a God helmet. So I'm going to look deeper into this while we listen to this, but I'm just making sure this isn't like a troll. Kind of like when you're on a construction site and they tell you to go get the board stretcher, you know?
So they moved over to the purple bean. Purple is very nice, calming, cool purple. Okay, I've been lifted now on that bean. Okay, now I get up. It's all purple and swirling around. Now all the colors are going to come in. Just like I'm swirling around now in all various colors. All the colors now. It's going around and around. Now it's like I'm going to hear music. Music's coming on. Sort of lifting me up. Hear this real nice music. It's all blending in with part of the color. It goes with the colors. Now it's like I'm being taken out of the little protection of the little saucer with the bubble top. And now I'm going to just be left to float a little bit. Now just to float. I'm just floating in these colors. Just beautiful colors. It just keeps changing.
Listen.
And music.
This is an actual out of body experience too. I can tell like this is a real one. First, second, if there's a philanthropist out there, some bitch sends me one of these God helmets, I'll put this thing on live on the air, like right now. Just to, I mean, it's not going to fry my brain or anything, right?
I can hear the music. It's like a floating now. Very relaxing and very energizing. Just like I want to float here for a little bit. I'll just float and listen to the music for a little bit. Bang.
Right.
A little saucer coming back out. I'm finished floating. It's very relaxing, energizing. I'm supposed to get in it now. I'm going to be taken somewhere. Platform now. Put off a little platform on. I'm just standing there straight up. I could see a circle of myself. I'm standing there, but I just see a circle of all like aspects of myself in a circle.
Yeah, that's common to see yourself in like 360 or whatever.
Standing on this platform, sort of floating way out in space, but it's very nice. Completely away from everybody, everything. I'm just floating up now, standing on this platform. Now, like I'm supposed to stand and observe what's going to happen. My ear is ringing anyhow, but someone's just working on my...
Oh, she just said her ear was ringing, right? Because that's happened to me before. Like I was trying to get out of body and my feet. Yeah, so my feet would just keep coming up, right? And then like my head would feel pressurized and then my ears would like feel up, like they wanted to pop, like I was on an airplane or something. I'm pretty sure she just said, like, it feels like something's messing with my head or my ear. I don't want to rewind it, though. I don't want to mess it up.
My face, like someone's exercising, helping to exercise my throat muscles to talk, for getting me prepared. We are trying to fix that she is multi-dimensional, and this is why she is able to see the great circle of self, of many forms of the self. It appears to her to be like many cells extending from a circle in between. And we are trying to show her that there are many, many dimensions of one human self, as she can see and understand that she is much more than that conscious self that she sees in the mirror and that she experiences in her waking state. She will be much more readily prepared to go into the multi-dimensional levels.
So this whole out-of-body experience that she just had just transitions almost like immediately into a channeling experience. And now it sounds like she's got cotton in her mouth, like she's trying to be the Godfather or something.
Of the consciousness.
This is the same person, right? Yeah.
And this is why we are working on various levels, and not only the visual. This is very important to work on the visual. But also we are working with the other senses as well, as she realizes and senses and experiences the light feeling of floating. This helps to take her away from the heaviness of this worldly self and helps her to see more clearly that she is not tied down nor bound by this physical self. But at the same time, we are showing her now her human body. And as each cell glows, we are showing her that the cell is a complete universe in itself. Every cell in the human body is a complete universe of great complexity, but yet at the same time, great simplicity. And within each cell is a whole energy level. And the energy is self-sufficient within each cell. And there are millions of universes within one human body, just the physical, so to speak, with many levels of energy patterns within each cell. And as a soul is aware that their mind and self can be very much in control of the use of energy within the millions of cells. It is very awe-inspiring, and it is a great sense of responsibility. And this is why it is important for the self to stand aside to look at the magnitude of the universes that the self is responsible for. But the greater dimensions are the many, many dimensions of what we call then the energy body, the universal self, which goes beyond the body, which can be seen. And this body is in touch with all levels of the highest forms of energy. And therefore, when this body is released in its highest form, and in its highest working form, then all of the levels and universes within the physical are put into place. And with the great energizing and balance between not only this universal energy body, but the working levels between, there is no limit to what the soul and the self could perform in this minute second of a lifetime. Once the soul is in control and will release the levels of energy in its purest form, the human self is capable of the highest of what you would consider miracles, but they are not miracles. The human body would be capable of appearing and disappearing at any stage and any level of existence in the earth level and the higher energy levels, if the self and the soul are in the right communion. And of course, this is possible. As you well know, it is possible for the energy body to travel, but it is also possible for the physical body to be capable of many very unusual feats. They are all combined and connected. But we are only saying this to use an example so that this entity can see and know that there are no limits put up on the human body and the self other than those limits that the mind puts up on the self and the body. And this is why it is important to work in changing the concepts that the earth level put up on the mind of man.
So think about that for a second. So this was in 1984, before, I want to say, I forget his name. I always forget freaking names. But before we realized about the collective conscious record breaking, right? The rat experiment. You know, you taught rats something and they broke through a barrier on one side of the world, but all of a sudden on the other side of the world, like rats started doing the same thing. So when one person breaks a barrier or a rule or a record or whatever on the earth, suddenly the rest of the collective kind of steps up and then it becomes a norm, which is pretty trippy. So that would mean, I don't want to get too deep because it can get pretty crazy if you think about it, but that would mean that all of us could possibly be creating our own matrix, like our own Mr. Smiths, until we break through a barrier. What's his name did that? I'll think of it in a minute. The guy's name. Somebody in chat will know it, though. Yeah, the 100 Monkey Effect. It's what's up, Claude? Damn, what is his name? I'll think of it in a minute.
A soul is aware that there are no limits to the experiences and levels of existence within the physical body. Then there is a new frontier where all things are possible. But the great work which we have to do first is to work with the mind of us human souls. And this is why we are now working to clear the mind of this entity from all of that which has been put into her that has limited her horizons. It is no fault of her own that she feels limited. It is just that kind of thought form that is sent to her from other thought forms of earth levels. And it is our main job to work with thought forms to release those false thought forms that hold down the soul in its true release and its true activities. And this is what we are working on at this time. We are going to continue to help this soul to see herself in the many levels that she is. And as she can see and experience these various multi-levels of her existence, then she will be that much freer to explore into the unusual and the most amazing universes that exist right within the self. And we have a good beginning.
No, it's a doctor that did experiments with rats that did that.
It is always our desire to help all who are interested in being helped. All that we do is to help as many as are willing to listen and be helped. And therefore, it is not that we are working with one entity. It is that we are working with the earth level. And there are many who are working to help to release those who are caught in the wrong thought forms on the earth level. And therefore, we are most happy that anything that we do is shared with all who are interested in learning. And of course, all who are with you are growing and going into the many dimensions and are learning much of what we are already saying is known.
Indeed, very interesting. In terms of our communication, is it possible for, as you indicated several meetings ago, to bring in other specialists who have knowledge that we might wish to select and choose avenues of being or doing based on certain knowledge? Are these available to us?
This is what we would hope would be possible as soon as we have cleared this channel of the many thought forms that keep her from being truly open to this new kind of experience. And we will hope that this will be possible, and we are working on this. But it will only be possible when she is ready to completely step out of herself and to travel in other dimensions. And it is only then that the information can come through, because if she is present, she often has bits of doubt, thought forms that can keep the flow from coming. But we are planning to work very carefully on this. And when the time is right, it will take place.
One of the reasons why we bring this up at this moment is that we have many things facing us, and guidance is very important to us at this stage because of the factors that may change in our earth pattern here that may affect us very deeply. And if we could prepare for such changes, it would be very helpful.
Many souls are being prepared to understand the changes, and you yourself are capable, and as you know, of tapping in to the knowledge and understanding of what is taking place. But it is helpful when it can come also in a clear channel. And we work from many, many directions to the earth level to help those who are consciously open to understand what is taking place, so that they can assist in the greater work that must take place on the earth level.
Are you aware of any significant or important changes that will be taking place at the earth level?
There are many levels of changes that are taking place. And of course there are many that you are aware of as far as the physical changes in the earth. There is a shifting that is taking place, a polar shift at this time. And the tremblings and the shakings that are taking place around the earth are merely a beginning, because the shifts of the inner workings of the earth are great. However, this is important because the earth in itself is shifting into a higher form of consciousness. And in order for the earth entity, it is a live form, to shift into this consciousness, it has to go through the shakedown of those negative forms that have existed around it, and all of the levels of thought that the human beings have brought to the earth have caused great imbalance, especially in the areas of a large concentration of negativity. as the large concentration of negative thought forms grow to a higher magnitude, this affects the earth, and therefore the shakedown is beginning.
That kind of makes me think. No, it's not Joe Dispenza. It's. I gotta think of it, man. I think I'm starting to get dementia. Did y'all hear that when she was like, did that? That makes me think that she really is under, because when people are in twilight and kind of a hypnagogic, or they're about to fall asleep, sometimes if they're trying to pull themselves back in or wake up, they'll take in a breath like that. It's not just about getting enough oxygen to speak. It sounded like a waking breath, But
as with all growth, this is important. And then besides the physical aspects of the shakedown, there are many levels of energy that is being projected in the Earth's direction. The Earth is sending out its antennas to all aspects of the universe, and therefore it is receiving much more attention from other forms of life, and therefore it is attracting to itself many forms of consciousness levels in the physical level and in the etheric. And therefore they are studying the Earth, because the Earth is like a baby in the cosmos. It has yet much to learn in its emotional level. It is very young emotionally, and it is time now for more growth to take place. And that shift is coming very, very, very soon. But those like yourself and others with whom you have been working are ready for this, because you have been willing to look into all levels of consciousness and know that it is not just one level, the physical, that is important, but that the dimensional levels of existence are the important aspects of life, and man must be in touch with himself, or he will destroy that which is most important to him, the very nature of his existence, the nature of his consciousness. And man must come into attunement not only with self, but with all levels of consciousness around, in order to preserve and in order to not, shall we say, preserve, but in order to go with this shift in growth and consciousness.
How much, by our time standards, how much time do we have to prepare for this?
The preparation is taking place and has been taking place. Your preparation has been taking place for many lifetimes, and therefore it is not a matter of preparation. It is a matter of going with the happenings as they come, to adjust and to shift with this shift. Therefore, you are prepared, and you have been prepared, and the great test will come as you are able to go with the flow and to realize that when the breakdown begins, that this is merely a very important part of growth. Therefore, you are prepared, and you are working very hard to prepare many, many souls in the right direction. It is mainly the ability of the self to be in balance and to be in tune to understand what is happening, because the physical is not the important aspects of life. As the physical breaks down, the human soul will begin to see and must see that the breakdown is only a shift into higher spiritual understanding.
That is very, very important that we consciously know this.
There's no time in levels of consciousness, as you know, and everything that you do is important to the next step, and therefore you are doing what you should be doing right at this time in the history of the earth. You are doing the best that you know how, and you must continue this because you are enlightening many, many souls, and therefore must not worry about time as the earth time, so to speak, but the time as far as the universal levels of the soul consciousness, as you are helping souls to get in touch with themselves, they are able to go outside of time, and therefore this is the only time that is important, is stepping outside of time into the deeper levels of consciousness, and therefore you are doing precisely what you must do to help to step outside of the time barriers, because as you know, there truly is no time.
No, there is not. I appreciate very much the discourse, and we will attempt to solidify the overview, as we call it, so that people will do this more and more, and hopefully we can get into that condition now. How is she at this moment?
She is fine. She is observing the whole situation as we had asked her to, and is growing as we are able to share.
She is understanding what we are saying.
She is understanding.
Very good. Do you have any further information or messages that we need at this moment?
We will say that we are with you. You have a large energy field that surrounds you. And a part, as you will find, of the pressure upon you now is this great shift in the work which you are doing. You are stepping into a very important new aspect of your own program. And therefore we have, and there are many around you who are sending great energy and are sending their all levels of confidence as you take this step into a new level of reaching many thousands and eventually millions of souls. And this is part of the pressure that is upon you at this time, but this shall be relieved from you as the whole new level and program begins to flow.
I will understand this when it begins to take place.
You certainly will.
That's the only time we're going to understand it, is right when it happens.
The balance of the session was uneventful, as you can well imagine, after that particular meeting. And this is the end of this particular tape, and I do hope you enjoy it as much as you have the others.
I mean, so here's the big question I'm thinking about, too. Yeah, that name's going to bother me for the rest of the night till I recognize it, but the bigger, I mean, I don't know what the bigger question to me would be, like, what is, once you get prevalent at out-of-body experiences, once you get to that, like, that level of conscious exploration or whatever, once you get to that state, is channeling, it seems like 70% of these tapes are channeled material. That's why I like the Thomas Campbell one so much, because they go back and, He just explores. He does talk to entities, but he never really channels anything, I don't think. And he just reports what he sees. Not brave enough to channel anything or to try to attempt that yet. Anyways, all right. So, yeah, thanks for coming out this week. We do this show Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursday nights here. Sometimes I'll do stuff on the weekends or Mondays, depending on if I feel like it, or if it's like the new moon broadcast with Mary DeCina. And speaking of the moon, we're having that Aquarius full moon's about to wrap in. Beautiful moon out there tonight. And someone was asking about what the ghost step was. So someone mentioned it in the chat room during the break. I made a ghost step. So that's when you that's when you think there's another step when you're in the dark and there's not, and you just kind of do that old man blow your hip out thing. You know, that's what happened to me. All right. Love you guys. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Join us in the Telegram. Support the Fringe FM. All that good stuff. Good night out. Sweet dreams.